Ukraine's Prime Minister says for the first time a Russian air attack on Kyiv has damaged the main government building in the capital. A strike on the Cabinet of Ministers building sparked a fire on the upper floors of the facility. The Ukrainian Air Force says Russia launched some 805 drones and 13 missiles in the overnight attack. Officials confirmed at least 2 people were killed in the strike, which also targeted residential areas. It was the heaviest bombardment since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. For more, let's go to DW Special Correspondent Nimisha Jaiswal in the Ukrainian capital. Nimisha, what more can you tell us about what's happened there in Kyiv overnight?
Well, Anthony, I'm standing at the site of one of the main strikes where those 2 lives were lost, and you can see the immense damage behind me. This is clearly a residential building. Rescue workers still working, piecing through the wreckage, essentially. We know that as of now, they are still looking for more people. 2 people have been confirmed dead, a young woman as well as a month-old child. It's reported that both were thrown out by the force of that explosion. But this is an 8-story building, and floors 4 to 8 are completely wiped out. We are being told that this was a drone strike, and windows around this whole area blown out as well. Rescue workers hard at work right now. Cleaning crews immediately sweep in, Anthony. So as far as I have seen in all the strike sites I've been at, I can still smell the smoke in the air hours later. So this is clearly one of the worst things that we've seen around these parts, at least in the recent past.
So you're at the place where at least 2 lives were lost. Naturally, when 800 Russian drones are launched, this wasn't the only location hit, as you mentioned. What is the damage like in other parts of the city and other parts of the country?
Well, we know that in the city, at least 4 residential buildings have been hit in total. There is an expectation of more injuries to be reported. And of course, the most dramatic strike when it comes to official targets was the Cabinet of Ministers building that was hit in central Kyiv. Now, Russian President Putin has long threatened to hit centers of power, but this is the first time a central government building was hit, as the Prime Minister of Ukraine confirmed upper floors were damaged there. So clearly a symbolic hit as well. And once again, Ukraine appealing for more backup, more air defense, more offense capabilities, but across the country as well. To briefly take you through some of the other strike sites in Kyiv, multiple places, multiple residential buildings have been hit and many people have been injured. We know that there have been power outages, major ones in Kyiv. We know that in Kremenchuk, a key bridge was hit over the Dnipro River. Railways have had to be redirected. In Odessa, strategic sites were hit, including the port. We also know that there's been damage in Zaporizhia. So strikes across the country pretty much. Hours of air raid alerts over the night. And this morning we heard air defenses work over Kyiv and cause damage like this, despite those air defenses being hard at work.
Loud, dangerous and destructive right across the country, Nimisha, but it wasn't all drones and missiles incoming into Ukraine overnight. Kyiv has successfully hit back at targets inside of Russia as well. What are you hearing?
Well, Anthony, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine has now confirmed that the Druzhba pipeline, parts of it have been hit yet again in the Bryansk region. More details will emerge with time, but this is, of course, not the first time Ukraine has targeted Russian pipelines heading into the European Union. We know, for example, that Slovakia and Hungary have complained about these strikes, but Ukraine has insisted that it reserves the right to continue these strikes, that these are legitimate targets to cripple Russia's capabilities when it comes to crude oil, something that Ukraine has been insisting more sanctions need to be pushed through on. And while President Trump has in the past said that both sides are striking each other, Ukraine and Kyiv here reminding the West that while these are strategic and military targets, that is not the case in the damage you see behind me, for example, that residential areas, that civilians are continuously being targeted. Zelensky has once again put out a message this morning saying that Washington needs to come through on those actions. He usually avoids calling out the U.S. directly these last few weeks and months, but much as the threats of sanctions have come out again and again. Nothing has happened so far. Let's see if these visuals, as well as what we saw at the Cabinet of Ministers, may finally compel the US and President Trump to act out.
DW Special Correspondent Nimisha Jaiswal at the scene of those Russian strikes on Kyiv. Thanks so much.